What is going on, everybody? We are back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. It is Saturday, July 20th. Happy Saturday, everybody. We have a sweet show on the way for y'all this afternoon, morning, evening, doesn't matter where you are. I'm excited to get into it. We're covering SmackDown, all kinds of good stuff. First, I'm going to toss this one out across the nation, not the pond just yet. We'll get there eventually. I'm going to go to the East Coast. Ladies first, New York City. My good friend Megan, good to have you back. How have you been?
I've been good. Took a week off, had to take care of some business and still a little under the weather, but I couldn't help but to be a part of this daily simply because SmackDown was really good yesterday. And I can't wait to get into it. I mean, it was really good yesterday.
I was fired up as well, and I'm stoked to get into it myself. Speaking of, though, let's stay on the East Coast. We've got our head of opinions, just a short train ride over to Philadelphia. Anthony Ricciardi, what's up? Happy Saturday, bro.
I'm doing all right. We're on the Slammiversaries coming on tonight, and last night was an eventful SmackDown as we're on the road to SummerSlam. So it's always fun to cover shows that are on the road to a major show.
Absolutely. I am stoked about it myself. Now we finally will go across the pond. And I got to say, a guy I know that is totally prepared for any kind of perspiration, sweatbands and all, a good friend of mine, Jordy. What's good, my friend?
I am great, mate. I'm good. Got my sweatband on. Not as many as I usually have. Yeah, well, every time I'm on a show with you, mate, I run around frantically looking, and I'm like, I need to find a sweatband because I've said I'll do this today. Any other show that I'm on with you throughout Cena's farewell tour when it happens, I might even continue forever. And anytime I see you in person, Clark, I'm going to be wearing a sweatbands. But yeah, I'm here to talk about SmackDown. We could squabble all day, couldn't we?
I think the worst part about it is that, like, you've made me like sweatbands because I enjoy doing shows with you so much. I'm like, dang it, maybe it's me. Maybe it's my fault. No, it's not.
I'm going to send you some custom ones one day.
It's John's fault. It's all John's fault. This is his fault. He started it.
Are you pro jorts now, too?
Oh, no, I've always been anti-jorts. Unless they're cut off jorts. That's a classic. Like, these jeans have a hole in the knee. Now they're jean shorts.
I'm wearing jorts.
That just cracks me up every time.
So I am wearing jorts. I nearly fell over showing you then, so I'm not going to do it again. But
no, you don't do that. That would be...
That would have made the highlight reel at the end of the year.
Why not?
Okay, so we have our WWE Women's Champion. I keep getting them mixed up, and I feel bad. I messed it up the other day on the WWE Women's and the World Championship. I will say, as long as I complained about the Raw and SmackDown titles,
it was a lot easier.
I got exactly what I wanted and continue to mess it up. It's pretty hilarious. But either way, we've got Bayley and Nia sitting down face to face for the first time in a heck of a long time. Nia Jax had enough. And I loved using the Queen of the Ring part of it to tell the story. You should address me as Queen Nia. No, you're the same Nia Jax that I've known all along. Megan, I'm going to ask you first out of the gates here. Your thoughts on the Nia and Bayley thing, and how excited are you for that matchup? Do you think it's, based on this, it's interesting when you have a baby face coming out of a promo like this looking stronger on the microphone? Oftentimes that triggers me to think maybe the heel's going over. Did that change your perception when it comes to this match in general, or did you just feel like this was an awesome segment to advance the story?
I definitely enjoyed the promo. I love hearing Nia Jax talk. I think she is so experienced on the mic. She had these little funny, like, little insults. BBL Bayley was trending last week, so that was hilarious. I think, After watching the promo, it definitely made Bayley look stronger. I didn't necessarily feel like Bayley looked or she wasn't being presented as the champion as she is. But I think this promo definitely changed my mind about it. Do I think Bayley is going to walk out of SummerSlam with the belt? No. I do think this is Nia's time. She is the queen of the ring. She has proven herself to be a stronger competitor now. She isn't hurting anybody, despite what Bayley said. No one is getting seriously injured as years ago. But if I was Nia, I would watch my front and my back around Tiffany. Tiffany wants that gold. Tiffany wants that belt. She wants to prove herself. And I really think Nia needs to she needs to learn who her friend is. Her friend is not her friend.
Yes, I agree. And it's funny because I feel like out of the gates, the level of trust when it comes to Nia and Tiffany was always a little bit sketchy.
Yeah.
But logically, in my eyes, I was like, is Tiffany not the better opponent for Nia? She's got the match. She's got her Queen of the Ring match anyway. And you have Tiffany holding that money in the bank. I'm wondering if maybe Nia pulls some strings as some sort of a mastermind and has, she can flip this script too. Right now, that does not look to be the case. To your point,
Right.
You're 100% correct, right? It looks like Tiffany's the one that's one step ahead of Nia. And that's kind of my only fear, Megan, right? Is if we end up in a spot where Tiffany's the biggest story going into Nia Jax versus Bayley, I think that's unfair because they've done great work.
Absolutely. But I guess they just feel like maybe despite what happened with Tiffany on Instagram, it seemed like they had to put her on a back burner for a little while because of the controversial posts. But it seems like it's like full steam ahead for her. And I don't necessarily think she is going to outshine Nia, but I do feel like she is a lingering energy.
She's at the very least, she's a factor when it comes to this, right? Like, yeah, she is for sure.
She's the only briefcase carrier right now.
The only
Drew, so at this point, she exactly.
Jordy too.
He should have waited. But yeah.
100%. Okay, Anthony, I got to ask you very similar, but so when it comes to the Nia Bayley situation, last night's promo, your thoughts on that in general, but more importantly, the direction of the storyline as a whole. Who do you think comes out of this looking the best? And what is the end game when it comes to the Tiffany Stratton aspect of this storyline that is clearly, like we just mentioned, a factor, not to sound like a broken record.
When you look at it, and I've said this before, I think the two people that Triple H brought back that have had a complete 180 in success is Chelsea and Nia Jax. Nia Jax has truly come into her own. This is the character I think they tried to present back then, but it just didn't land. The promo I thought was great. And part of the reason I think it was great is because, and I've said this in different columns that I've written for the site over the years, realism, or at least the belief that what the audience is hearing has elements to realism to it. So Bayley bringing up, you cost me in my career. If you didn't take me out, my career would have went a different trajectory. I would have gotten my title match at Mania prior to this. You derailed me. And then bringing up the negative connotation that has been constant, that Nia injured people. Obviously, part of that was, the incident with Becky Lynch, which inadvertently created the man. But Nia was always negatively paintbrushed in the media or whatever you want to call it as an unsafe worker. So bringing that up, a personal thing that bothered Nia. She's from the Samoan line. That is extra offensive to her because that's heritage. Like literally that family does one thing and one thing exceptionally well, and that is professional wrestling. So, that whole heat back and forth, I think that added a lot more interest going into that match. Now, for me personally, I think it's Nia's time. I think Nia is the right one to take the title off of her. As far as Tiffany, Nia's not foolish. She knows Tiffany, even with a damaged, dilapidated briefcase, is still a potential threat because that cash-in is still a thing, a potential threat. So I don't think Nia will be blindsided by this. She knows, but if she can use Tiffany in some way to help her win that title in the first place or to retain that title, she's going to do it, but she's always going to keep one eye on Tiffy, and she's ready to bonsai drop her at the moment she tries to cash in on her.
I love that. And I agree with you on Nia 1,000%. This is also the best work of her career.
Absolutely.
There was some stuff and she did great for a long time, but this has been by far through Queen of the Ring and now the best work of Nia's career, and deserves her flowers for that, because it is it is the Nia we always knew existed. We have seen Nia Jax in big spots. The Alexa Bliss rivalry obviously was a huge deal and whatnot. We always knew it was a possibility. I don't think we saw her elevating her game to that level after some of the comments and about the safety, like you mentioned. Yeah. But we also forget it made the man. It made Becky Lynch.
I'm very happy.
Is it that bad?
I am very happy that that was the thing. When she got released, she was known for two things: the man and the one incident on the ring apron. Now she's kind of come into her own. She's come into her own. Like this is going to overshadow. She's going to have a good career and not just, she inadvertently created the man and the other thing.
Right.
Absolutely. Okay, Jordy, we've touched on so many parts of this storyline, this rivalry and whatnot. What do you think all this means for Bayley, though? I feel like kind of the sentiment so far is it makes a lot of sense for Nia to go over here and Tiffany Stratton. But Bayley having her big Mania win this year and carrying the belt, I thought this was her strongest promo amongst the rest. And so let's not forget about her. And where do you think the direction, as far as Bayley's concerned, is headed?
It's interesting for me as well, that with Bayley, because I mean, if she does lose to Nia, then there'll be a little rematch arc. I imagine it won't be one. They'll have another one following SummerSlam. But following that, where could she go? I mean, I don't know. Something to do with damage control again, maybe. But they might even write her off TV for a bit. Like Nia might actually do something to the point where we see Bayley get stretched out, and that is really kind of the fear put into the women's division to create one of them kind of sort of characters that is able to put people out of TV for a little bit with a move. Again, especially when you lean into the fact that it's kind of blurring that line of kayfabe, because instantly, if we saw Bayley get stretched out or the medics came to help Bayley after a match with Nia Jax, instantly, because of the history with Nia Jax and because of this reputation, whether it's justified or not, I'm not saying it is, people would instantly think, Nia Jax has injured her. And it isn't, this isn't a work, this is real. She's injured somebody again. Could work well. And in terms of the Tiffy stuff, yeah, I don't know whether they'll pull the trigger at SummerSlam. I think that would be a very shocking moment for a lot of people. So that gives me the kind of thought that possibly they might. But of course, you have to keep one eye on Tiffy. You have to. Everybody has to. She's the center of the universe, and she's got the briefcase. I like what they've done with the briefcase, because we all knew that Tiffany was going to customize her briefcase in some way, shape or form. Yeah. Now she really has a reason to. I know she posted a photo on social media where she's taped it up in a similar fashion to mine. Not saying she's copying, but I did it first. But yeah, I think now we're going to see that pink bedazzled shiny briefcase, which I'm up for. I think that'll be great.
I am all in too. Honestly, corny vignettes like that or corny like promo segments backstage, sometimes I'm not a fan of. But if they have her with like a team of people bedazzling the briefcase for her, so she's not putting any glue or any of
and then telling him it's wrong, do it again.
Yeah, it's like do it again.
Yeah.
Would be one of those that I would definitely like.
Can I be honest? Now that we're talking about it, I would love to see this version of Seth eventually win a Money in the Bank because I'm dying to see what he would do to the briefcase, or if, if it would have a different look every week to correspond to his outfit.
I'd like to see like people come out with a parade like this one, like kind of like Emperor's New Groove, and him being like, nah, not that one. No, not that one.
This is super random, and before we get to the next segment, I have to get it out because I don't know if there'll ever be another time.
Yes.
If you've seen Ocean's 11, remember when he goes into the vault and he's got to be handcuffed to the briefcase? I've always thought it'd be really funny if you had like a super heel. Maybe the Miz would have been good for it, but there's others out there. If they're carrying it and they're so afraid of like it getting stolen, that they walk around.
Chelsea Green would have done that
themselves. Yeah, I was like, that's just from a creative standpoint. Something I'm like, dang it, that would be so funny.
But it wouldn't be roller cuffs; it would be fancy cuffs. There's no way to use roller cuffs.
Whatever. Well, not Tiffany Stratton.
Chelsea.
Yeah, no, I could totally imagine Chelsea Green doing that 100%.
Oh,
it'd be hilarious.
It would be comedy gold. I would be dying for that. Let's move on to our next segment though. Let's talk Carmelo Hayes versus Andrade. Really good match, two really good wrestlers. But I complained about a month and a half ago about Carmelo Hayes' use since he's been on the main roster, and I'm still annoyed by it. Me too. He still is in the exact same spot as before, and it's still what's been bugging me this whole time. I'm not saying I was right. It was an opinion. There's multiple truths can happen at once. But if Carmelo Hayes was going to go from the position he was booked in at NXT to this on SmackDown, I didn't want it. It's bothering me. He's that talented. He's that good. Give him a real shot. What in the world are we doing here? Just have him. Andrade's great too. I get that. But what does it do for anybody? And Anthony, I got to ask you, can you make some sense out of this for me?
The humorous part of this is that it was on a Saturday show with you and I on it. And you said you gave the lead up to me, and I completely buried Carmelo and the use of how they used him. And Ben clipped it, and you got all the heat, even though I was the more controversial of the two. So it is kind of humorous when you think about it. Carmelo, again, there's no direction here, and I think that you're doing a disservice when you bring anybody up from NXT without a direction, because he's just there. The reverse of that, Andrade, when he has matches like this against opponents like this, it reminds you every time of going, why didn't he higher up the card? One of my favorite matches I've ever seen live was Andrade and Johnny Gargano from TakeOver Philly. I think that was without a doubt, to me, was one of the best matches I've ever seen from that era of that TakeOver era. And maybe because I was there. But last night was another reminder of that Andrade can go. So I would like to see Andrade do more. He put a belt on him, not the speed title, a real title, not the fake one. Not the wish.com one, not that one. But Carmelo, he seriously needs a direction. And I don't know if all these months of not using him right is damaging him, almost like Austin Theory, where, at this point, I don't know if you could shine that. So I'm hoping Carmelo doesn't lose that luster, because he is a tremendous talent, but he's not getting used as such.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, you're not going to be able to redeem that.
And
from the audience's eyes.
To your point on the Austin Theory thing, I think that's worst case scenario. I don't think he's
that's absolutely
he's not there yet. That's worst case.
We've seen.
I'm looking at just how excited I was for all of the rivalries he had leading into Mania season over on NXT.
Yeah.
And there's just not even near that level of excitement. There's not even enough interaction with another superstar to build a full rivalry. We've got a few comments about it, and I appreciate them, guys. Like, absolutely. Kafkaske added, my man, Melo will be a superstar. The booking will get better for him. I'm trying to stay positive, too. I agree. I hope so as well. Bobby Petito said, should WWE send Carmelo Hayes to Japan? Like Pro Wrestling Noah? I don't know. That could be fun for a one-off, but I don't know how much that benefits him in the long run on SmackDown. That's where I'm, a little bit more concerned. We also have Haseen Terrell with hi there, guys. And then Lord Virus of Nurgle over on Instagram added, but how do you see him being used? That's the problem. I don't necessarily have a solution. I just feel like I've identified the fact that it's getting a little bit
repetitive.
sketchy, repetitive and sketchy, right?
When you compare it to Bron Breakker, who like it was, I feel like when they both came through, you were kind of like Bron Breakker, Carmelo Hayes, and you look at the difference of how they're being booked, and it is a bit like if I was Carmelo, I'd be a bit like, what's going on here?
You booked Carmelo in NXT with the banners. He was the dominant guy. On the main roster, he's just jobbing and making sarcastic comments in the back and then losing to people that he wrestles. So it's not the same character. It's watered down.
It's big fish in a small pond situation, I guess.
Exactly. It feels like he is trying to prove the character that he was on NXT on the main roster, going up against Cody Rhodes, going up against LA Knight, going up against Andrade, and they're all sunning him, like they're all sitting him down, like it's almost like you're not ready. It just seems like each time he tries to prove himself, he like everybody's saying, it's like he's being kind of shrunken down. And
when LA Knight said, I know what he's going to say Mellow in the Bank, and then 10 minutes later he got up and said Mellow in the Bank, it was like, I would have been like, oh, I'm just either not going to say it or I'm going to say something else because like I can't say it now. Yes. And it's just tiny little things like that make you think you've been put in your place a little bit there. And then you're not him anymore. He's lost that. So it's
not compared to Braun. Braun Breaker is him.
He is right
second now.
Genuinely speaking, we could talk about this for the rest of the show because I'm fascinated by the juxtaposition between the two, especially since they were called up at the same time. Yes. But we do have to move on 100%, and we also have to talk about our good friends over at Next Level. It's great if you like wrestling content, especially ours. You want to head over there. There's an app inside of an app. It's all free. It's absolutely free, and all of our content. If you're ever like, hey, how do we find the articles and the podcasts and everything else, this is where you go. You're going to head to nxconnect.me/Wrestling Republic. All of our content across all platforms, same place. Trust me, you'll like it. And we will talk about more wrestling right this second because I really was excited about this one. Megan, this was, to me, I love contract signings. Because there's only so many things you can do. But these two have figured out how to stand across from each other with a microphone and make me care more. Right. And I just want to see them fight more than anything.
Yeah.
I got to ask you two questions. Number one, was this your favorite back and forth between Logan and LA Knight so far? And more importantly than that, is this how Logan Paul finally loses the United States Championship?
That's what I'm hoping for. I'm definitely hoping that he loses the title at SummerSlam. It's not a secret. I'm not a fan of Logan Paul outside of wrestling, but him as a wrestler, I have grown a level of respect for him. But I would say definitely since LA Knight's feud with Bray Wyatt, I've always thought that it was only right for him to have a title. And I'm kind of sad that it took this long, but I couldn't think of a better competitor or a rivalry for him to win his first title in the WWE than against Logan Paul. I really liked the promo. I liked it a lot. I think when I think of LA Knight and Logan Paul, it it's giving you don't belong here. You know, it's giving you haven't shown the level of respect that actual pro wrestlers have shown, and you don't deserve to be carrying that title. And if I'm gonna be 100% honest, I 100% agree with him. But I really enjoyed the promo. I've enjoyed what's been going on thus far. You know, LA Knight popping up at his house, and Logan Paul kind of making him chase for it. But if you're asking me who I'm rooting for LA.
Same.
I want him to walk out of SummerSlam with that
United
belt
States champion
in Logan Paul's hometown, in front of his wife, girlfriend, fiance.
Yeah.
I know he's got dogs. I know he's got dogs that he loves.
And I know he got a baby on the way, but yes, all those who love him, I want to see LA pin him and take that belt.
I feel like it was a year ago at SummerSlam that it was the first time he got his first PLE victory, right? When he won the SummerSlam Battle Royale and he became Mr. Slim Jim. So I feel like it would be nice for a year later for him to pick up that belt finally. I'm a massive LA Knight guy, so fully biased, fully biased.
100%. We're here. We are here.
I'm in the exact same spot. How can you not like LA Knight? I like yelling, yeah. I mean, I did it the other day. Like, I took the trash out the other day, and like I got them all on the curb and just turned around and looked at him. It was like 11 at night. Walking back at my house, I just looked at him and like I did it. It was, I mean, it's my favorite catchphrase currently going. It's nearly impossible to beat.
But I just want to slide in that I did like the little interlude that they had between him and Jey Uso, and I'm kind of hoping that maybe one day they will revisit that, because they feed off of each other really well, and the fans love it. And I'm still rooting for him and Joe Hendry.
What I find most interesting, because we're obviously all on the LA Knight side, right? And we're all fans, and don't want to overextend the topic, but I got to give Logan Paul credit, because given the size of his following, there are certain things he could do in a promo to sandbag it opposite LA Knight.
Right.
And Logan deserves some credit for understanding the game that we're playing from an entertainment standpoint.
I do respect the commitment that he's legitimately putting in effort, not just there for a paycheck, not a celebrity. Like, he's actually putting in the effort. You got to appreciate that.
He could easily say something silly and really sandbag anything that LA Knight does, and he sells so well on the microphone. I got to give him credit for that. He did a good job. Like, he was very upset by the things that that LA Knight said to Logan, and he does deserve some credit for that, especially being, again, he's been in the industry for what, 2 years now at most.
10 minutes.
Like, how much formal training has he had? It's wild, though, how many times it lands. I'm fascinated by that one.
That's true.
We could talk about that forever too, but let's get into another match. We had Mi Chin and our Money in the Bank winner, Tiffany Stratton. We've got some shenanigans-ish and an upset. Who saw that coming? I guess. I don't know. What did you think about it, Jordy?
Kind of split in a sense, because I'm really happy to see Mi Chin win a match. I genuinely am. Like, I feel like at the minute she's just around and losing, and I rate her, and I think she's got more to give than just be putting people over. So it was nice to see her win. That's the one thing. And the shenanigans were certainly fun, like you say, with the briefcase, and I mentioned earlier on. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I know we've seen people end up with a battered briefcase, but I don't think we've ever seen anybody kind of take one out to that extent, stand on it, jump on it, split it in half kind of thing. So it was nice to see that. I wish they'd put a contract in it, though. Why are they still not doing that? Like, it's just a bit of paper. It doesn't have to mean anything. But then we all know that there's an actual contract in it, like they say that there is. But that's by the by. Tiffany losing's interesting with the shenanigans, understandable. Yeah, I think it was a kind of thing where it needed to happen, and what we needed to get out of it were further and deeper into other feuds. So obviously having Bayley and Nia have that moment where they actually kind of had a bit of a scrap, and Bayley came out on the upper hand, obviously, by then going and distracting Tiff. So at the moment, it looks like Bayley's going into SummerSlam on the upper hand, which again is quite interesting. Just while I've got a second, though, I just want to say a huge thank you to Chelsea Green for turning up last night, because she had a travel day of hell, and yeah, she might have lost, but she turned up, and I feel like people should be more thankful of that, including Ben Allison, because he's not included in the topics. So now, not only is she having to deal with Nick Aldis, now she's having to deal with Ben Allison, and I'm here to support her. So
and Microsoft.
I just wanted to, use that second of my own time on this show to show my appreciation on behalf of all of us at Wrestling Republic.
Jordy, I am glad you brought that up, because she went head to head with TSA agents, Ben Allison, and worse yet, Microsoft. Wasn't it their fault? Is that who we blame?
Yeah.
And then Bianca Belair. What a day.
I just want to say, I second what Dom saying.
Yeah, it's a win.
I'm going to have to shave my mustache.
Is the briefcase full of nuggies? Tell me.
Yeah. Well, I wish it was. Oh.
Of course it is. All right. So let's get into our final segment. And this is an interesting one in my eyes, because we've got Cody, and obviously everyone knows my thoughts on Cody. Big Kevin Owens fan. Great team. Seemed like Cody didn't want a team. I don't think A-Town Down Under wants the team. It does very much seem like the Bloodline does want a team, as far as last night's match is concerned. So,
right.
First, I'm going to go to you, Jordy. What do we do with all these teams? What in the world do we do with all these teams?
Well, haven't they announced like a super duper mega tag match next week with like a load of people in it? So I guess that's what we're going to do. Man, them tag team titles are heading to the Bloodline. That's what I think the outcome is going to be. However, the stuff with Cody, and I said this in the chat to you guys, and I'm a massive Cody guy. I love everything with the Bloodline, but I don't know how many SmackDowns I can take that we've finished with someone getting thrown through a table by them. Like, I'm going to need to see them get in the ring soon. I'm going to need to see them do a little bit more than just turn up at the end of it. Like, as soon as I saw, I had a tiny little bit of hope that Joe Hendry was going to turn up as Cody's partner. Not that I was disappointed to see Kevin Owens, and it was being unrealistic, but now if I see that question mark, I think Joe Hendry might turn up. But he didn't. But as soon as I saw the tag match, I knew fine well the Bloodline are going to come down. Someone's getting put through a table. I just knew it. And I don't know, to kind of end a show on something that is a little bit predictable at this point leaves a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth. So I want to get to SummerSlam now. I want Cody and Solo to fight. I think next week will be no, it won't be the go home show, will it? It'll be the week after that'll be the go home show.
Right. Yeah.
So I need them to do a little bit more than kind of turn up unannounced and throw someone through a table. But that's just where I stand.
I think it's completely fair, and that's kind of the page that I'm on. I was like, dang, like this is an on paper match that's off the charts, right? Like, give me Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens versus A-Town Down Under, the threat of the Bloodline running in. But then you think about it in execution, and you're like, dang it, is that for today or is that for a different day when it comes to this whole equation? And I do, to your point, think it comes down to the tag team titles needing to be put on the Bloodline. And so, Megan, I got to ask you on that one. obviously you have Cody in this match going over and everything. A-Town Down Under, in my eyes, is done. The tag division is now about the bloodline. How quickly can they execute this?
You know, this is week 3. This is week 3 that we have witnessed the Crown Prince get beaten and watch his partners get beaten. And I'm frankly tired of it. I don't know where it's going, but I do find it interesting that between the weeks of him getting beaten, he did do an interview and he spoke about it seemed like his opposition of going heel. And I just want to extend this to Cody and say, Cody, it is truly safe for you to turn heel. I hope this leads to him turning heel. Because I just feel like they are playing him safe, but maybe it's leading up to something bigger. Maybe it's leading up to him teaming up with his arch nemesis, Roman. I don't know. But me being a Cody crybaby, I am tired of seeing him. I'm tired of seeing the show ending with him on his back. I am tired of him getting beaten by Bloodline 2.0. I just it angers me. So I don't know. I'm just a little annoyed by where they are going with this. But
join the dark side, Megan. Join the dark side.
I just want him to do it. It's okay. I want to see his version of Homelander. I want to see him just complete. You know, the kids will be okay. The kids will be fine. They're not going to love him any less. In fact, they will understand that he is still the good guy, beating the bad guys. But we, as the adults, will understand that he had to tap into something dark in order to get this out. So yeah, I just want him to just go to the dark side, Cody. It's fine. It's fine over there. Yes. Yes.
I am so in agreement, and I got ahead of the game before the story ended on like a turn heel now, unrealistic, and knew it when I was saying it, but that's neither here nor there. But now is the time to strike while the iron's hot. In my eyes, I completely agree. It just makes sense. The only issue is he's the guy opposite the bloodline in so many of these segments right now. That's where I'm afraid. And so, Anthony, I'm going to ask you how we get around that issue and get Cody there, or if you're in if you're disagreeing and you think he's got to be a babyface in the near future, let me know.
I mean, I think he needs to stay the face as long as the bloodline thing goes, because again, at the end of the road, we know he's eventually going to have some match or some rivalry with the final boss. That's already been teased. I could see him turning darker during that final boss feud, because we saw how dark Rock got on the road to Mania. I think down the road, Cody will have a phenomenal heel run. I think he's got it in him. Undertaker said it. You've said it, Clark. I know he has it in him. It's a matter of turning him at the right time. It needs to have a shock value, like Hogan with the NWO. It needs to shock people when you do it. It's not. It can't be, oh, he's turning heel now. Like, it has to be like a shock value, I think, for maximum impact, personally. I agree with what Jordy said. Watching it again, watching somebody get beat down, I kind of look at it. I understand the logic from a booking standpoint of saying, okay, the bloodline are a bunch of wild savages. They're taking down all Cody's allies. They already have the numbers game, but now Cody doesn't have anybody to watch his back, and anybody else that's not involved with it are going to be hesitant to get involved because nobody wants to deal with Jacob Fatu alone, let alone the others. The only thing I do agree, the tag titles are probably going to the Gorillas of Destiny, probably. I do think though, Tonga Loa's constant mess ups with a simple low blow may hurt the impact of that. I do think it's going to be Girls of Destiny, Usos. I think that's where it's ultimately going as far as the tag titles go. But having KO beat down, it's isolating Cody, and that's a sadistic heel side to isolate your opponent, almost like jackals. They're isolating you, so you're surrounded and you got no defense. And that fits the Cody character. It fits the American Nightmare character that they've been portraying. That it's like, I will fight against the odds. It's the white meat baby face. It's the quintessential. Every baby face likes to face the odds, and it adds interest. But yeah, if you've replayed the same thing over and over again, at some point the audience is going to go, "We've seen this. Give me something new." But history has shown, as far as the bloodline goes, every time we think it's done, they add a twist to it. And I've said before, I think come SummerSlam, the real tribal chief's going to be back. So it's going to turn up as we're on the road to 41.
That is so interesting because I agree. The real tribal chief being involved is going to be interesting. And I think twofold, because there's a scenario that plays out where Roman has mutual respect for Cody for what happened.
Because he defied the odds to beat him. Yeah.
And you can write that out of this storyline. I think that's something often overlooked. Roman doesn't have to come back on a Cody chase or a title chase. He's going to blame someone else.
Yeah.
And I think that, at least personally, that's the direction we have to go for the Roman return, no matter the Rock's involvement.
It goes beyond the title for Roman at this point, because they messed with Paul. Paul's Roman's guy. That's it. You attacked his wrestling father, essentially, when you took him out. Now it's personal. So I personally believe at SummerSlam, they'll do the little run-ins and people will be fighting people off. It will come down. They'll do a ref bump. The music will hit. The crowd will go nuts. He will come out. Cody will be on one side. Solo will be on the other. Roman's got to choose. That's when he takes Solo out. And thus begins the Bloodline Civil War. And as we're on our road to Survivor Series for War Games and everywhere else. Yes.
I've got it slightly different, ever so slightly different. I think it could go down that way, but I think what we're going to see is Roman come down, take Cody out. And everyone will be like, okay, he's taking Cody out. And as Solo goes to pin him, he'll spin him round and then he'll super punch. That's when I think there'll be a moment where the crowd are thinking, oh my God, he is with Solo. Roman planned all this. And then he'll take Solo out and drag Cody on top of him or something like that.
I love that.
I can't see him leaving Cody B, because the last time they saw each other, he won the title off him. I can't see him going down and taking Solo and just going, all right, Cody, now you. I think he'll take both out, wreck everyone and leave, essentially.
That's what I want to see again, is you're just a freak in a mask. Shout out, rest in peace, Bray Wyatt. But yeah, you're just a freak in a mask, to me, is what made the Tribal Chief. That line. It gives me chills every time to think about it. He spears the Fiend, the strongest entity in all of the WWE at that time, and looks him just cut in half, cuts him in half, looks at him and says, "You're just a freak in a mask." I mean, it's like, you're like, okay, that's gnarly.
The great part about where Roman is now with the audience, I think he's reached the stage he could do no wrong. Like, he's beloved regardless.
Yeah.
Right. So, then where does this leave room for Jimmy? Because at some point, Jimmy has to come back. We want to see him and Jay at least make amends. They don't have to be together. But it's like, when Jimmy comes back, is he coming back with Roman? Is he coming back because he's scared of Solo and his cousins? Is Jacob really working for Roman? Because this is what people are trying to insinuate, that maybe Jacob is a double agent and he's just playing the field as time goes on. He's just being the enforcer until the real tribal chief comes, and then, you know, kind of show where his real loyalty lies.
Lies.
I think so.
Megan, I've never been more on the same page because this is really funny. I've talked about the Jay and Jimmy situation when it comes to the bloodline. That is the stone unturned, because now Jay has one more tag team title reign than Jimmy does. Jay has gone over on Jimmy at WrestleMania. Jay has been called main event Jay Uso. Uso, that would have been fun. But the main event Jay Uso, he's had multiple shots at Roman. He had multiple shots at Roman. Jimmy did.
He pinned Roman. He pinned Roman. I saw it. I was there.
Yeah.
Jimmy didn't. Jimmy on his comeuppance to kind of sell how important both are. There's a lot of story to be told there. He's a key factor, and I agree with you. I'm looking forward to that. It'd be interesting if it's Jimmy and Roman who kind of return together at first, and then we have to navigate those waters.
Jimmy's the only one that right now I look at the whole bloodline saga and everything that's happened, and I think, like, have you come out of this better?
Yes.
That's my only worry, and I love him. Whereas I feel like everybody else, like Jacob Fatu, Solo, Jay, Roman, Paul, Paul was already that level, but I guess he's now a Hall of Famer.
He added to that level.
So I mean, like he's certain. Like I just look at Jimmy, and I want something to happen within this bloodline story to be like to put Jimmy on that level as well, rather than just being a great tag team partner to Jay. And that's my only worry.
It's the one stone left unturned. Go ahead.
So who would Jimmy benefit being under? Would he benefit being under Roman? Would he benefit being under Solo? Or would he benefit being under The Rock?
I think you bring him out as either of the three and have him be the one to turn this time finally, because he never did. He's also the only one that never truly did. He kind of did, but he didn't fully, right?
He turned, and then like it didn't work, and he soon turned back. He was like,
I didn't really mean that.
He was the most loyal, if you really think about it. I think it's any of those three. Okay, but by the way, we are up against the time. We could do another hour if we needed to. But unfortunately today, that does bring us to the end of the show. Thank you, everybody that's tuned in. If you haven't already liked and subscribed, please do. We'll be on for Daily tomorrow, Sunday Night Spotlight tomorrow. All kinds of good shows to check out. Take it to the table. All kinds of good stuff. Thank you so much on behalf of me, Megan, Anthony, Jordy. Have an excellent Saturday, and we will talk to everybody soon.